Hi guys. I just want to come on and answer a question that everyone keeps on asking me over and over again is why I am no longer a flight attendant and if want to go back into being a flight attendant. And I just kind of wanted to give you the background of why for me I can't be a flight attendant anymore. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Not with my life. And a disclaimer here is that I do think it's a great job. And I think it would be for me if I were in a different phase in my life. But at this moment and this point in my life, it's not for me. And I'll go ahead and tell you the reasons why. Okay. So I worked for a major airline. I worked for a major airline. And I'll go ahead and say it. It was United Airlines. And I don't know if you guys have been on any of the United Airlines trips and you've seen the flight attendants. The flight attendants are a little bit older. And a lot of times they're older is because they've been there forever. And so once you get a job like that, most of the time, you stay there until retirement. A lot of people do that. I know for um, the regionals, like if you hit 5 years, you're golden and you're going to be able to get good lines and you're going to be able to pick your trips, drop your trips, and actually have a life, a family, and all that stuff. But not for the major airlines, at least not in my case and the base that I was at. So I was on reserve, and reserve means you don't know what you're going to get. You could be sitting in the airport waiting for a trip. You could be waiting for a call for a trip. And then once you get your trip, then you look up where you're actually going to go. So you have to be prepared for everything. And I think that was actually one of the funnest parts because you didn't know where you were going to go. You didn't know you're going to go to New York or LA or Miami or London or Iowa or Midwest or wherever. So you didn't know. So that was the fun part about it. But for me, being a reserve was hard because I really couldn't, and being really low in the seniority, I couldn't really pick, my schedule at all. I mean, I bid, but obviously I was at the bottom. So with trades and stuff, I was able to do that. And so back when I was a flight attendant, you needed 13 years to even hold a line. Now I've talked to a lot of United flight attendants um, at the base that I was at. Some bases are actually like 20, 21 years to hold a line because it's so senior. And I understand why it's senior. I mean, you have so many great benefits. You get to travel, the pay goes up and all that stuff. But so that's one of the reasons. And I didn't want to have to go through life just I didn't want to have to go 13 years, 20 years, just waiting to have a decent line. I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted to kind of live life right now. And I know this sounds bad, but I don't know if I wanted like 20 years of struggle, to be able to have the life that I wanted. So it was like 20 years just for a decent domestic line, and then like 30 years for a decent international line, pretty much. So for instance, also I commuted, and it was going to be really, really hard for me to come to LA where I live. I live really close to LAX, and I had to commute from SoCal to Chicago every single week. So just say if I was on for 5 days in a row, make that 7 days because I had to commute the day before, fly in, work my 5 days, and then fly home. So if I came in really late, then I wouldn't be able to fly home until the next day. Sometimes I would be able to, right after my trip, get released from reserve and then go ahead and fly home. So that it's either 6 or 7 days away from home. You could do less days. You could do 3 days, 4 days, but the problem is if you have that, then you're constantly commuted even more. So you tack on a day before, a day after, you're away from home even more. So it's almost better to put a bunch of days together, like 8 days together, tack it on at the beginning, tack it on at the end, and then you have a bunch of days off. But then, so that was what happens. Also, just being on reserve and how crew scheduling kind of owns your life. That was a little hard for me. Get excited about a specific trip and all of a sudden they have to change it, and I know that that's their job and they have to do according to operational needs, but constantly feeling like a yo-yo back and forth, it was a lot for me. Also, something that I didn't mind before, but I kind of mind now that I'm older, is being stuck on the plane for many, many hours. I don't think that I enjoy now being stuck on a plane a lot. I mean, obviously, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I did go to Germany, and that was, let's see, LA to New York. It was 6 hours, and then New York to Germany was 8 hours. So that was 13 hours. And it was okay. I mean, I was a passenger. I was chilling. I was listening to music, listening to podcasts, watching movies. But I don't think that it's in my blood anymore to be on planes constantly. And just the air pressure and the lack of fresh air was, after a while, your skin dries out. You get really dehydrated, so then you have to just make sure you moisturize and you drink tons of water, just to keep your homeostasis, just to be able to keep everything just normal. Um, um, I noticed that I craved fresh air a lot. Like whenever I was in my layovers, whenever I came home, all I wanted to do, I didn't want to be inside the house. I wanted to be outside constantly in the fresh air. I craved it so much because when you're in that environment where it's just a pressurized environment indoors, everything was artificial, that you just kind of needed that fresh air. Um, Something else that was kind of hard for me was, after a while you kind of get tired. I mean, get tired of, like, I don't know, the same thing, just picking up trash, people handing you trash, picking up trash, you know um pouring cokes and stuff like that. And I know that, when I do ramp and stuff, I do help clean the planes at night, and that's different. But for me, I think in my mindset it just seems a little different, just because for us, we only do the Rons, the remain overnights, and because we just do the Rons, we're chilling, we're laughing, we're listening to music, and it's just like wipe down the plane, whatever, no big deal. Um, but just after a while, for me, just, yeah, I know that just sounds kind of like rude or whatever. I'm not trying to be that way. I just kind of got tired of everyone just like handing me trash, like, here. After a while, it kind of got old. I'm just telling you the reasons why I don't know if I could do it again. Um, um, a lot of times I come in contact with flight attendants all the time, because obviously I'm a gate agent now and a ramp agent. And they keep telling me, I don't understand how you can be a gate agent, or I don't understand how you can do that. It must be horrible. And it's not, because at least when you're a gate agent, you're really not stuck with them long. Once you resolve their problem or don't resolve their problem or whatever, they're gone. But when you have rude passengers and you have passengers that are grumpy or whatever, you're stuck with them for the entire plane ride. And so that's annoying after a while. Let's see. And I noticed that passengers they get mad, of course, when we have to cancel flights or whatever, um, or delay flights, which is not our fault. I'm talking about as a CS agent. But I've noticed that passengers aren't as mean to customer service agents as they are to flight attendants. I think that I got more rudeness when I was a flight attendant. It could be that I was younger. It also could be just the fact that I think that people are kind of scared of gate agents a little bit, and they kind of think that gate agents are kind of rude, or we have attitudes or something. I don't, but I'm just saying, maybe it's a little bit more intimidating to be rude to a gate agent, because we can say you can't get on the plane, or we can say, you know, I don't know. So that is one thing, but I also feel like it can be a little lonely, just traveling with people that you do not know. Like, every single time you go, you are with a different crew. I don't even think once I traveled with someone, the same crew again and again. Like, it was always a different crew, which was fine. I actually kind of like that. But for people that are shy, or people that aren't used to just having to make friends every single time, it might be hard. I liked it though. Um, you It's not really good for relationships. I was married at the time. I'm still married. But it's not good, because after a while, just being away from your spouse, away from your kids, away from your loved ones and friends, it can get hard after a while. And you do miss a lot. You miss weddings and showers and parties and different get-togethers. And it's a big sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice. And of course, you can make your schedule work. But a lot of times, I mean, even sometimes you think, okay, I'm done on a Thursday. I can go and hang out with you guys on Friday. But all of a sudden, weather comes in and then you're stuck in Minneapolis for 24 hours and then you deadhead home. And so you miss a lot. You do. You miss a lot. And I think also it was really hard for me because I kind of felt like I was missing out on real life, real life things, and even simple things like going to church on Sundays and stuff like that with my family. That was hard after a while because it's like you live in a different world. You don't live in the world that everyone else lives in. You have your crew world, and the people in the crew, they understand you. But then there's also another life with your family, and that's a completely different life. In a way, it's kind of separated, and it doesn't kind of mesh together. Um, Also, constant fatigue. You get constant fatigue, and you get tired working just any type of job. I've worked night shift at the hospitals. I've worked, night shift at the airport, for customer service and ramp. So I get that when you get fatigued. But this is a different type of fatigue because I feel like since you're on different time zones constantly and going back and forth and here and there and having to wake up early and go to sleep early, and it's hard. You kind of forget days of the week, and what day is it again, and that. So, and you also have long duty days. I know I have long duty days working when I worked at the hospital for 12 hours, 16-hour shifts. Um, but it seems different because at least when I worked at the hospital, I got my same pay the entire time. So, for instance, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Just say if I make $40 an hour doing respiratory, I'm giving you an arbitrary number, $40 an hour. So that $40 I'm making for 12 hours. If they need me to stay an extra 4 hours, it's voluntary. You don't have to go after your shift. But that $40 an hour after that 12 hours comes to double time. So I'm making $80 an hour for that other amount of time. When you're a flight attendant, you might have a 13, 15-hour duty day, but you might only get paid 4 hours of it. So for instance, you get there and you do an hour flight, just say LA to San Francisco. Okay, cool. 1 hour pay of $30. Okay, you got a 2-hour sit, just say. You sit for 2 hours. Then you go from San Francisco to Washington State, just say. Another hour. Okay, an hour and a half, just say. Then you go from Washington State back to LA. But just say in between you have like 2 and 3 hour sits. So those sits you get like a per diem. So sometimes it's $2 an hour, $3 an hour, whatever it is an hour. So you're getting paid, just say 3.5 hours of flight time, maybe $2 an hour, $3 an hour for just being away from home. And so you're really not getting paid that 15 hours. You get what I'm saying? So it's just a different type of situation. And this is not to bag on being a flight attendant because I loved it and it was good for me at that particular point in my life. But at this point in my life, I'm just telling you why it's not for me right now. So I just wanted to show you guys the other side of it. There's good and bad of every situation. There's bad parts about being a ramp agent, the heavy bags. and the weather. And then there's bad parts about being a customer service agent. Just having to tell people that their flights are canceled and constantly having to rebook passengers or people being upset because they missed their flight and you're having to explain to them that they were late. Different things like that. So every single job has their pros and cons. But I kind of just wanted to let you guys know the reason why I'm not doing it right now. I probably won't do it for a long time, probably until my youngest is done with high school, and he's only 6 years old, so I probably won't even do it. But I just want to stay in the industry. I'm just so thankful that I'm in the industry, and this is good enough for me. I can travel when I want to travel. I can go where I want to go, and that is why I do what I do. Okay, I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And then this was a requested topic. So if you guys have any other topics that you want me to go over, I will definitely do that. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.